welcome to Super Wall Jump, a podcast where we explore the gaming space from creators to consumers and everything in between. With me today, I have Zavi, the lead developer for a game called Lightning Katana. Zavi, can you tell us something about yourself?
Something about me. I guess I would say like I grew up in the Caribbean, and did you guys have G4 Tech TV?
Maybe. It
So
rings a
there was this
bell.
channel that we got on cable that would show like a lot of behind the scenes for games, what's it like to make a game, trailers for games. As long as I've been growing up, like some kids are like they want to be astronauts. I knew I wanted to be a game dev, and it's kind of nice to finally be out there doing it finally, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, you also literally leapfrog my next question, which is what made you get into games. So I guess it was G4, a TV channel which almost certainly doesn't exist anymore.
Probably not. But actually, I was into games before that. I think the earliest I can remember being into games is either my parents were very busy, but around the time I was 5, dad bought me Super Mario 64. And like we would just sit down and play that game together. Mom doesn't know why I enjoy it because a lot of it was him going, just go left, why can't you go left? Apparently, I loved it as a kid though. I would say that, or like I have an older half brother. When he came, we'd play Super Nintendo games together, and that kind of it's been with me for a long time.
Makes sense. So Super Mario 64 was the game that set you on your current path.
You could say that, yeah.
Sure. So you made Lightning Katana. So can you tell us about what Lightning Katana is as the person who made it and not just some guy, aka me, who has played it?
Okay, so I would say it's kind of like if you took old school Doom and threw in some Hotline Miami elements with a little Devil May Cry. So it's essentially a first person shooter feels wrong. I'd call it like a first person samurai game. Is there a term for that genre?
I mean, you do. There is FPS, and you just replace shooter with samurai, but I don't think that
That is
it's its
true.
own genre.
Yeah, but it focuses a lot on like dodge rolling, parrying, reflecting bullets. You shoot bullets with a finger gun. It's a mix between fast paced gameplay and kind of methodical. You need to understand the layout of the level and plan your attack, like Hotline Miami, which are two things I always really enjoyed in games I play.
So why did you choose that genre and style?
So a few months before it, I was just like kind of doing practice exercises to build up my portfolio for applying to jobs and stuff. I made a platformer and realized I could turn this into an actual game a lot easier than I thought. So, and then I just kind of figured out, oh, what kind of game do I want to do? There was one game I played on itch.io called Red Handed that kind of I wanted to do something like that, but give my own twist, and it sort of worked its way out from there.
Makes sense. What software did you use to make the game, and why?
So, main engine I used was Unity, which was pretty dicey around then. I don't know if people feel better about it now. Do you know?
You're referring to they put in like a cap on how much money you could make with the engine before you start having to pay dividends to Unity, right?
So, kind of. There was that was always there, but they're gonna add a thing where like you get charged after 1 million or 100,000 plays, and then they charge you per person that downloads the game. And
And
people really did not like that.
and per download does not necessarily equate to revenue because for example, if I buy a game on Steam and I play it for an hour, I could be like, "Wow, this game sucks," and then I return it. But for Unity, they'd be like, "Oh, well, they downloaded the game, so we're counting that, even if they refund it."
Yeah, and what's crazier is like people pointed out, it doesn't track who downloaded it individually. So if somebody really didn't like your game or studio, they could just maybe if it's especially if it's a free to play game, get a bunch of people to install it, then uninstall it, then reinstall it, and that would cost you a ton. Luckily, Unity went back on that.
But from what I have heard, the damage was done to Unity's reputation just because that's just a very weird move to make,
Yeah,
and it feels
people
like it wasn't
have.
really considered.
Yeah, I think it left a very bad taste in people's mouths. I think public consensus has gotten better, but I'm not sure. But yeah, the game was mainly made in Unity because that's what, I went to school for game dev and that's what they taught. A sprite for the pixel art, um, Audacity for audio editing, and then you'd have to ask other people on the team what they used for like graphic design, etc.
But primarily, it was made in Unity, and
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Were there
Unity
any
was the
like?
engine.
Yeah, did you have any particular challenges presented by using Unity? Like, was there any like Unity quirk that you were like, I have to overcome this specific thing because Unity is like this. I know that Unity
Mhm.
uses C sharp.
Yeah,
Um,
so I would say much less than I would have for any other engine because I've been using Unity for about 12 years now and I teach it to students. So I understand the jank. I would say the most trouble I had though was before I made it a Steam game, I put it on like itch.io and Newgrounds as a browser game. And browser games have so many arbitrary restrictions. And the problems I kept getting were like, okay, you have saved data, but if I upload a new build of the game, it just wipes all your saved data and nobody knew how to fix it.
yeah, because and also like having local storage for save files also usually severely reduces the amount of data you can actually save, and
Mhm.
that can be complicated
Yeah,
and unpleasant.
without getting too into it, the issue is kind of like Unity has a whole API for permanent storage and clearing the cache, etc. It just didn't work for some reason. And like a lot of the forums are like, oh, just do this. Those stopped working as well. So after a while, I was just like, okay, I'm done trying to get it to work for both Steam and web. I'm just going to move fully to Steam. I think that was the biggest problem, engine specific problem I remember getting.
Yeah, that's fair. Steam isn't it like the biggest video game marketplace out there?
Yep. I will say they charge the highest revenue cut. Like, I think Steam takes out 30% of whatever you make on the game, but you reach so many more people with Steam that it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, because Steam has so many features that allow you to, get your game in front of people.
Yeah.
Um, what did you use to like market the game? Did you use word of mouth, social media, Steam Next Fest as one of the tools to get your game in front of people?
So that was actually the hardest part of making this game, getting people to actually see and care about it. I looked around, I tried a few things. So first, I would just put it out on Newgrounds and itch.io. Itch.io didn't really pick up too much, but Newgrounds, it got like, I think 30,000 views between a bunch of people. That's how I got my Discord started. The problem is, a lot of people, I think, on the free websites, they like free games. They don't care as much if you're saying, oh, now you have to pay for this. Obviously, there are exceptions, but that was largely my experience. I tried this thing called Keymailer, which lets you mail content creators and streamers. That didn't really get too much for me. Tried
Mhm.
mailing lists. I would think the things that helped me the most were Steam Next Fest got me a ton of eyes on it. And I think before Steam Next Fest, I had about 100 wish lists after we had like 800. So yes, Steam Next Fest was a really big one. And I would say, and the reason I brought them up was QWERTYcast was also the very big one for me, where in case it's not been mentioned, this is the first episode. I'll just briefly touch on it. QWERTYcast is just a collective of a few people in this sphere. All, can I say we're from Philly?
I
I mean,
think
I
you
guess
can
I
say
already
you I
do.
think you can say that like they're a core of people's based in Philly, but there's people
Oh
in
yeah, there's
Cordy that are
people
from
all
all
over.
over.
Yeah, the core is Philly, and it's just a small thing a group of friends have. So we have graphic design people who like Coda would help me with some of the stuff for a Kickstarter we were making or any promotional material because Steam, you need to upload library heroes. There is a lot of stuff that you're not going to know that you need people with other skill sets to fill for you. Game design, yeah, there are quote unquote one man teams, but you're still going to have to find other people to help you, which I learned. Like, I was surprised by just how much outside disciplines you need. And yeah, if I needed somebody to do a trailer, oh, I could talk to Bard. If I needed graphic design, oh, Coda. If I needed some production help, I could ask Field Day. And if I needed playtesters, I remember you were one of the first playtesters I had.
Yes, which is how I basically know you to begin with, and it's why I was like, "Hey, I know this person that made a game. I should ask about what the game making process was like because
Mhm.
I I know enough about video games to know that making them is abysmal. It is a enormous amount of work, and you have to do it over and over and over again. And I know enough programming to know, hey, sometimes something will just be broken, and you don't know why, and you can
Yeah,
spend 3 days and still not be any closer to finding out why. And then in the process, you also broke something else. So it's arduous and exhausting.
I got a lot of the breaking stuff in the beginning. And yeah, it's one of those things where you have to be prepared to work 90, 100 hours a week for no pay. If you're in charge of the studio, you don't get paid unless this comes out and you sell it. So you got to be
Yeah.
prepared to lose a lot of time and a lot of money. I would say if I could tell myself one thing going forward too, and I think a lot of people don't really talk about this, you really need other people from other disciplines to help you. Like, you will need to hire an artist. You can't do all the programming and art and marketing and graphic design yourself. So, meet people, meet musicians, have good working relationships with people, and be prepared to learn how to hire and negotiate contractors when need be. Unless you make like a really tiny game with pre-built assets, you're going to need a strong network of people with you. And I'm thankful for QWERTY with that.
Makes sense. Is there anything in particular in the game? We've covered basically all of my questions
Hmm.
pretty much just by talking. Um, is there any particular part of the game that you're like, wow, this is the best thing I have ever done?
So before the game released, I would say the final boss battle with Chanderpaul. There is so much work that went into his patterns, the animations, getting things just right. The scene transitions, Corey made an amazing ending. I know not many people have seen him though, so I would say, if not that, the level before called Kick It, where I just put in a whole bunch of stuff for that level specifically. We made kickable Molotov cocktails, explosions that blow up doors. The whole thing is just one long action scene. And we added a bunch of details like a pool table that you can kick and the balls fly everywhere. It's all the little details that came together to make those two things. And it came out way better than I expected.
We can all. I think that's all any creative hopes for is for something to come out and be better than intended.
I would say, yeah,
It,
Lightning Katana, like, I'll be candid, it didn't sell the way I'd hoped because marketing was one of the tough things to learn. But I can say I am extremely proud of how the game came out for the resources we had and the time we had. I
and
think it is leagues better than what I had originally planned.
and you released it, and as again any creative will tell you, done is the enemy of perfect, or perfect is the enemy
Exactly.
of done. And there are so many people. I can guarantee it, that are like, man, I'd love to make a game. It's gonna have dinosaurs and strippers, and
Street
you're gonna have a rocket launcher that you can use to jump. And then they install Unity or Unreal Engine or any of the many softwares, and then they try and just get like a square to move on a screen, and then they give up.
I would say scope creep is very real, and I'm glad I had other people working with me because that kind of pushed me to get the stuff I said I would done, add more, but also it's easy to get lost in the rose tinted, like you said. Oh, let's add rocket launchers. Oh, let's make you ride dinosaurs and fly through space. But it's another
Yeah,
thing to realize, okay, we can add this, but I told you guys this game would be done 6 months ago. Then we added more stuff and it was 4 months. Then it's easy to keep going forever. But if you have a team with you, it's kind of easier to say, look, guys, we put in work. We can add stuff after the fact now, but I want to see everybody's work through. I want to implement everything you guys have done already. Let's not make new stuff. Let's get this out and show what we've done.
yeah. How long was the overall dev cycle from like the moment of, I'd say, clicking the start new project on Unity to release?
I want to say a year. Yeah, because I started it either early March or late February, and we released the game mid-February.
That's really good. Releasing a game in about a year is better than a lot of teams.
Oh yeah, it there's so much more we wanted to add. And honestly, the original timeline for the game was I think I was only going to spend about 4 months on it. But as I brought a couple people in and like QWERTY people were enjoying the demo, I was like, maybe a little more time on it. And then it just kept growing from there.
Yeah, that's again, that's all creative projects. Oh, how do you know when to stop? That is
Yeah, that is a
so
fine
hard.
art.
I paint in my spare time, and being able to say when a painting is done is still one of the hardest things to do. Being able to say, all right, cool,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna touch it anymore. I could, but if I do, I'm not gonna make it any better.
I feel like painting is also, you have less leeway than something like a game or music, in that with a game, it's not like the 90s where once the game is released, it's released, you can't patch it. A game, you can always say, all right, let's put it out, we'll add these features later. Or music, you can mess around, add stuff, and if you don't like it, delete it. Like a common saying in music is a track is done not when you're finished adding stuff, but when you're finally finished removing things. And I feel like you don't get that luxury in paint, where if you paint it, you can't unpaint it.
Yeah, and based on all of my experience with painting, because I painted with like watercolors, acrylics, and oil paints, it's a basically straight up additive process.
Hmm.
Acrylics you can kind of paint over once you've let it dry, but you can't remove the paint that's already there, as opposed
Yeah.
to programming, which it's easy. It programming is its own terrible nightmare beast that we are all trying to fight at all hours of the day because, well, that's what being online is these days.
Yeah, programming, you are always going to remove something, if not entire systems at some point.
Remember when Facebook was good for like coordinating events?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, Facebook was great for coordinating events, and they had jobs on Facebook at one point. Like they did like a Craigslist thing, where like, oh, you can apply to jobs on there. I got a freelance gig from there once.
Oh, yeah,
What happened?
Facebook Marketplace or something like that.
No, Facebook Marketplace is still there. There was a jobs page on Facebook for people to be like, hey, I'm looking to hire people, but doing blah 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 blah.
Oh, I've
And
never heard of that.
yeah, hey, it was there, and then they just removed it, and they act like it never existed because that's what working in software is like. It is a
Yeah.
lot of adding stuff and taking things away until you hit the right blend of all right, cool, this works and doesn't break for everyone. If it breaks for you, Todd, that's fine, but for the vast majority of people, it works, and that's
Yeah.
the bar.
That's one thing I think people don't understand about software engineering, where they think it's just, oh, fix the bug. And they don't realize it's stuff like, okay, well, if you fix this bug in this way, causes another crash if like they browse on Android, but specifically version 13 on the full moon of the blood sacrifice night, this will cause their phone to delete. It's always like specific little gotchas that you have to accept which ones you care about.
Yeah, it's like having a messed up car. A few months ago,
Exactly.
yeah, a few months ago, I took my car into the shop because the radiator basically blew water all over the place.
Hmm.
The symptoms I was experiencing before that was my AC would be going in and out at random,
Yeah.
which makes no sense because the radiator and the AC should not be connected in any way.
Oh, I see
But
what you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
because the radiator wasn't getting enough coolant, the engine was getting too hot, so the AC wasn't working. And if you're doing programming, every single problem is like this, where there is something that should not be affecting everything else, but it is because of some unforeseen circumstance. And so now you have to try and rest. It's a Rube Goldberg machine of sadness in
I've
some
had
ways.
jobs before where, like, I'm trying not to be specific, so in case anybody hears, I don't want to like call anybody out, but we had people programming, like maybe CEOs who maybe should not be programming when they would add something at Sunday night at 3 a.m., keep in test code, not tell anybody, and then months later, like they would just do a line to, okay, pull from this API, change something in the database, but not tell anybody. So 3 years later, when your code breaks, you're wondering, wait, what's happening? Why is everything getting turned into a smiley face type 888? It's
You heard about Elon Musk at PayPal, right? They made their own special server for just him to work on. So
I'm
that
not
way he
gonna lie,
wouldn't.
I've done something similar at past jobs. That's very real.
Yeah, no, they put him on his own like quarantine little server. And then when he found out and was mad about it, they let him touch the code base and then had someone tracking all of his stuff so that way they could undo it for everyone else
Oh, that is
immediately.
the. And then they didn't have somebody to track him when he played Path of Exile and he got the account killed. Yep,
Well, hey, when you have enough money, eventually people stop telling you no.
that is
Which
true.
personally, I think that's a great problem to have. I'd love to have so much money that people are kissing my butt constantly. That sounds great.
I feel like it's better than the opposite, where you have no money, so nobody.
Yeah. So what is next for you? You've released your first game.
Mhm.
It came out. Uh, it's been out now as of recording for about 5 months.
It's been that
So
long. Oof.
hey, we're in July. Lightning
Ooh.
Katana was released in February of 2025. We were recording this on the 18th of July, 2025.
I know,
So
like rationally, I know that was a while ago, but 5 months time really flies. Wow,
I got married in October, and the fact that my first anniversary is coming up in 3 months is
that's
blowing my
crazy.
mind every day.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
I gotta jiggle my mouse.
next for me, I would say I'm still going to work on Lightning Katana in the background. It's no longer my main priority because unfortunately, got pay bills, pay rent, etc. I am working on adding a roguelike mode, which making some decent progress. And in terms of main career stuff, like I said, I'm teaching game dev right now, but hoping to transition back into either something a little more stable, like mobile dev. I used to be a department lead for this medical database company, or hopefully something in the game industry where I can get paid to do this stuff and not just paid based on can I sell my game. I'm always going to be doing game dev, just I'm glad I did the studio because it made me realize it's the kind of thing where I want to do because I enjoy it, not something I do because it pays my bills. Because it changes things when it's I'm working on this game because I enjoy it and I love it if I don't finish this and get enough people to buy it within the next month, I can't pay rent. It
Yeah.
changes the process, you know?
Hey, I can't just focus on making the best game I can. I have to worry about whether or not people are going to like it and suggest it to their friends.
Yeah, or just, and then you start to have to make decisions like, okay, I'm not going to make the game I enjoy. I'm just going to try and get people to buy this game, which those two sound like they go hand in hand, but I feel like when money isn't a concern, you can take risks. You can do things that you enjoy, whereas trying to sell it, it's more by the numbers. Like, you kind of, I hate to put it this way, but you have to think like an executive a little of, will this feature sell copies or am I just doing it because I want to?
Which is,
It's, yeah, it's not a fun
yeah,
way to go about it.
it's why
Feels a
game
little
dev is
soulless.
a job, not
Yeah.
just something for fun. Because every choice is not just, oh man, this would be cool, but is it fun and
Mm.
is it appealing?
And I'm not going to knock the game industry for that because I completely understand it. It's just, if those are the things I'm working on, I'd rather be paid for doing it than, okay, I do it and hope it'll make me money later.
Yeah. Although sometimes weird creative choices can, help make the game better.
Yeah.
Clair Obscur, game that came out this year, some of the stuff in that game, some of the design choices when it comes to like traversal are insane to me.
Hmm.
But it doesn't detract from my enjoyment of the game because it feels very authored and it feels like there's a lot of intent in everything that like was put into the game. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Them not having a mini map to show me where I am is a choice.
Hmm.
I
I
don't know
will
if that's a good choice, but it's a choice.
I will say it's kind of like going to the casino, right? Well, in a way, yeah, because the thing that you work on that's unique, that you like, that's off the beaten path, you could just roll like a Balatro or Binding of Isaac, where you do something that it's different. Everybody loves how different it is. Or statistically, you can roll Snake Eyes or a mediocre hand where, like, yeah, this is different, but doesn't really move the needle. And you just wasted 6 months and thousands of dollars for essentially what became a vanity project, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But on I don't know the exact numbers, but it feels like every hour 12 new games release onto Steam. And
I think there's like 50-ish games a day on Steam, much, very likely more. So yeah, it's hard
released
to
on
stand out.
Steam. How many games are released on Steam every day? On average, 40,
Uh,
yeah, 50 games are released on Steam every day, which is a lot.
And like, I know some people might be like, oh, that's not a lot. Imagine you spend years working on your game and you release it, and then you see, after you release it, same day 50 games push it out of the new slot. That's kind of what it's like. And then second day, oh, it's 100 slots down on the new releases. Then third day, oh, okay, you're basically
Yeah,
6 days in, you're 300th
50 a
slots
day
down.
is around 15,000 games a year get released onto Steam.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you're hoping that yours does better than 80-ish% of those games.
Yeah, because a lot of games just, hey, they get lost in the shuffle. And it's not an indicator of quality. It's just, hey, there's a lot of games. Consumers have a lot of options, and people
Mhm.
oftentimes trying to get people onto new games when they already have their go-to game. I'm putting in quotation marks. Um, is hard because
Yeah.
how do you compete with something like Fortnite, which some people that's just their game. They don't play other games. They just play Fortnite. So if you're trying to sell your game to them, you say, "Hey, my game is not Fortnite, and it costs
Already
money."
stopped listening.
Exactly. Game
Sorry, go
dev is
on.
hard. Game marketing is hard, and getting
Game
someone to
marketing is
getting someone to spend money is insanity.
so I will say something for any game devs or aspiring game devs listening. I'll say something that not encouraging, and then something that is kind of encouraging. So, not encouraging, yes. Something like upwards of 80% of games released on Steam, they do not make much money. They fade into obscurity. I think the statistic is only 20-ish% of games make more than $1,000 lifetime on Steam. And these are like, again, you could spend 4 years working on something and only make 1,000. I think I cut out there.
You did. You said 1,000, and that was about it.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I think it's like 20% of games. Only 20% of games make $1,000 or more. So you could spend 4 years making something and only make $1,000 on it, which is, I mean, I'm not going to do the math, but I know that's way below minimum wage.
Hey, that's
But
bad.
right, but on the positive side, a good amount of that percentage is also what's the asset flips or like I mean I can't think of a better phrase. I'm just going to say the game equivalent of a shit post.
Yeah,
So
listen, that's fine.
yeah, like we're not going to sit here and be like, oh, every game is a work of art. No, some people just shit post. But
Some people say some people want to be able to say, "Oh, I have a game on Steam."
yeah,
And they will simply put out like, "Oh, hey, cool.
slop.
This yeah. Um
So I mean, I'm not saying like if you don't make slop, you're guaranteed to succeed. Just understand the deck is really stacked against you, and there are very, very good games that still go unnoticed. So if you are doing it, like you're going to have to assume that you will make less than statistically speaking, assume you will make less than $1,000 unless you already have a community and fan base.
yes, and that is its own terrifying beast.
Mm-hmm. But that is kind of freeing in a way of like, okay, well, I'm not going to make a bunch of money on this, so let me not devote too much. And I think it might be better to release a few small but good games and build up a fan base, then release your big game than it is to release your big game out the gate with nobody knows who you are.
It reminds me a little bit of Sock Pop.
Sock pop.
They're a studio that has like a Patreon, and they release like a small game a month.
Oh yeah, okay.
Um, and if you're a Patreon subscriber, I believe you can just sort of like get it. This isn't me shilling for them. This is just me saying, hey,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no. Sometimes making a bunch of small projects to say, hey, I can release stuff. It may
Yeah,
not always be what you like, but I will release this. There's a game that I really love on Steam that hasn't updated in over 2 years, and it's been in early access for 5. Orb of Creation, incredible game. The dev is radio silent and don't think it's ever going to get finished. And hey, it's okay to release something not perfect. Show
yeah.
me you can release something and say, hey, it may not be perfect, but it's done.
And I will say, like a statistic I hear that I wish I heard before and I love to bring up now. Ed McMullen, the guy who made Binding of Isaac, I think he said Binding of Isaac was like his 30th or 40th game. Every game he had before that failed. Toby Fox, which I think he's who a lot of people think of when they say, I want to be an indie dev. He was releasing Earthbound hacks for like 10 to 13 years before he made Undertale. Even the
Yeah.
guy who made Inscription, like I forget, I think it's Celador Games or something. Inscription is comprised of like 7 different games I've seen him make. I don't know of anybody ever who has gotten success with their first game except maybe Flappy Bird, and that was 2004.
And even the guy that made Flappy Bird was like, I'm taking it off the App Store. I have released an evil unto the world.
But yeah, so I will say your first game won't succeed, maybe your 10th game won't succeed, but I think it's the kind of thing where, yeah, you can get lucky, you can roll the dice and just hit it big, you make a good meme game. More often than not, though, you will know when success is coming for a game. You may not expect breakout success, those are always a surprise from what I hear. But you should at least have an idea like, okay, this can sell enough to pay 3 months because that's what I make from my last game. I understand my community. I understand. I'm not taking shots in the dark when I release stuff now, you know?
Yeah. Are Steam wish lists a good indicator for how much a game is going to sell, in your opinion?
I do not have enough experience with it to know personally what I think it is good for. I mean, obviously, like if your game has 50 wish lists, it's probably not going to sell amazing. If it has 100,000 wish lists, yeah, you're doing well. I think it's more there are benchmarks that you can hit that give you an idea. Like, I think 10,000 wish lists is the number where Steam will actually actively promote your game. It'll show up on new releases and upcoming. 10,000 is where you can say, all right, I expect this game to do okay.
Mhm. Because at that point, it'll reach saturation, or at least people will be telling their friends, "Oh, I've been playing the X game."
Yeah, and like you can probably start to hope for media attention or like gaming outlets at least showing your trailer and covering you if you have 10,000 wish lists. Below that, the general advice is just release it, assume it's not going to do well. If it does, great, but you're better off. If you're trying to make money and you care about success, you're better off trying something else.
Yeah, if you're in games for the money, do
Hmm.
something else, please.
Exactly.
Go. Uh, I am not a financial advisor. Just go do options trading.
Oh yeah, I would say if you are in the games, like selling games for money, 10,000 wish lists is your absolute bare minimum of, okay, this can pay a couple months rent, probably.
Yeah, and that's 10,000 people that have to see your game,
Exactly.
which is a fraction of page views, and then a fraction of wish lists will actually purchase your game.
Yeah, I think for ads like click through rates, I didn't do too many. I didn't really do any bot ads, so forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I think it was something like 10% is a very high click rate for ads.
Oh yeah.
I think the
I
average I might be wrong here. I think average was like 2.5% or something. And that's just like click through. That means they click the ad to go to your page. The amount of people who would wish list it is less, like maybe let's say 20% of that. And the people that would buy it from that wish list is like 50%. So
Yeah,
it's
no, and
yeah.
that's optimistic because even I have had games that I have wish listed that I have not actually purchased because I looked at them and I'm like, actually, either it's not a good enough deal or I'm
Mhm.
just not that interested now because I wish listed it 5 years ago and I'm a different person now.
Exactly. Or somebody might just it's kind of like swiping on Tinder or a Hinge. Where like, yeah, I mean, I would swipe on this person. Would I match with them? Would I go on a date with them? Will they? Will I? Do I want to be in a relationship with this person? I just swiped on them. You know, I think a wish list is kind of
Yeah,
like that.
it's swiping right on a
Yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah.
And, not, I haven't been on dating apps in like 7 years,
You're
but
not missing out. Trust me.
oh, this is off topic, and I'll probably keep it in. I have heard that dating apps are terrible right now. Like, no matter who you are, if you're on dating apps, you're gonna have a bad time. That it's just bad.
From
There
what
was a
I
guy.
heard, it's one of those things where like if you are very good on them, you are feasting, but you're also like I think it's top 12% or something. If you are not one of those people, good luck. And I hear for women, it's a lot of you get so many terrible messages, just horrible messages that yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, very happy to not be dating anymore. I love being married is great for many reasons, but also I never have to go on a first date ever again. Great.
That is great. I will say, like, I have had some really nice first dates. Dating, it's nice when it's nice, but I'd much rather be married at this point.
And it may happen. Fingers crossed for you. But
Fingers crossed.
with that all said, is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Uh, I think we covered everything. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be on
Yeah.
first episode.
Yeah, buy Lightning Katana.
Oh yeah,
Um
buy Lightning Katana.
yeah, you should buy and play Lightning Katana and then tell your friends to play Lightning Katana and then post on social media about how good Lightning Katana is. You should do all of that, listener.
If you like the
This
game,
is
let me know. If not, you can join the Discord. Tell me what I should fix.
Yeah. And if people want to join your Discord or just find you in general, where can they do that?
So I think we have links on the Steam page, but my studio is called Juicy Pulp Games. If you look us up, you can find the Discord easily. Don't use Twitter as much, but there's a Twitter, Discord, and Steam page.
And Blue Sky, I will say, is not bad as a
I think
Twitter replacement.
I signed up for Blue Sky, but it's one of those things where I just don't use the Blue Sky / Twitter format much. I should get better about that though.
For me, if I ever post anything on like my Instagram story, I try to also just post that same thing onto Twitter,
Mhm.
Blue Sky threads because, well,
It's
all three of those
marketing.
are all three of those are the same freaking app. They just are different colors.
That's
Um,
fair. I guess I'm just not very media pilled. Like I think I'm somebody that needs to hire somebody to.
Social media is hard. There's a reason why social media marketers have jobs. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And if you are listening to the show, be sure and give us 5 stars. It really does help because the number of podcasts that I have been on that do not even have double-digit reviews is so many. And it
Yeah.
really helps show that people have actually listened to this show. And tell your friends about it. And also go say hi to the next dog that you see because dogs are great.
But wait, if I
Um,
wanted to listen to this podcast, where are all the places I could go?
I mean, honestly, I'm going to be uploading it to some sort of, it's going to be on your podcatcher of choice. So, like
So,
Spotify,
uh-huh.
Apple Podcasts,
What?
Google
Ooh,
Podcasts, probably.
no way.
Maybe someone is gonna put it on like in a car that you're like stuck in,
I
and you
love
don't know them
podcasts.
well. Yeah, you don't know them well enough to say, "Hey, can we put on some music?" And so you have to listen to this. Um, but
Shout outs to
you'll
you,
hear
the
me.
one person in that varies. I want to believe that that exact scenario is happening to somebody right now. Shout outs to you.
Yes. Hey, and if your name is Gary, also just shout outs to you.